What is it that you experienced, and why do you feel that people should know it?
My name is Lisa Bowe, and I want to start by saying I have no degrees in medicine or certifications in medicine, but I am a mother, and I'm a mother of 3 beautiful children, and I've watched 2 of my children go from happy, meeting milestones to children that regressed tremendously after having immunization shots. And I guess the message I want to get to other parents is that you have the choice in your child's health, and part of that is immunizations. That there's a lot of pressure by your physician's office and our community that you have to follow the schedule of immunizations, and that's not really true. You have a choice of which shots your child receives, if they receive any shots at all, and that doesn't stop you from your child attending school. I do feel pretty passionate about it because of the fact I did see my children dramatically change after they had their immunization shots. So I just had wished the first time that I had had information. When it came to my second child, I felt the pressure because of the whooping cough epidemic, that, and I felt like my child was 18 months and she'd been fully evaluated by the Birth to 3 program with our school district, and we had met every milestone. We didn't have any concerns that one shot would be okay, and one shot changed her dramatically. I mean, she a year later was diagnosed fully as falling within the autism spectrum. So.
What did you notice with your kids, and what happened initially with your first child, Ryan, that made you question the shot? And what shot did he have?
Well, we didn't have any concerns. He was developing fine, and went in for his MMR shot when he was 16 months old. And after he had that shot, we started to see things like a loss in eye contact with us, kind of more withdrawn. His language had been moving, every week it was like he was learning new words, and suddenly he just kind of stagnated. And he started picking up odd patterns, like we had a Persian rug, and he would kind of look for that pattern and start going around in circles. And so when he was 18 months old, I went in for that well child visit and started talking to the doctor about it, and at that appointment they indicated that he was due for 4 more shots. And at that point I really wasn't linking it to the shots. I was just a mom doing whatever her doctor said needed to be done. And so as they were administering the shots, and I was waiting for them to get done with that, I noticed all of a sudden his legs started to swell and it started getting red. And so I asked the nurse to bring the doctor back in, and by the time that the doctor got done with his next patient, came back to us, his legs were completely had blotches and were swollen all over, and they informed me that I had signed a release for the shots, that you have to do that at the appointments, and that if I'd read the material on that, it stated that 1 in 50 kids or something have this type of reaction, that he was fine to take him home and give him a little bit of Tylenol, and that if it continued to call them, that otherwise it should just go away in a couple hours. So I proceeded to go home, and that did happen. The swelling went down. He was playful. He ate a good lunch. So I was working part-time. I went ahead and took him to daycare, told him about what had happened, and they said, oh, he'll be fine, and they put him down for his nap, and I left to go to work, and 2 hours later I got a phone call from the daycare provider, and she was frantic. She said that she couldn't get a temperature on him, that he was hysterical, that she could tell he was burning up. So I immediately left work, went and got him, took him to the doctor's office, didn't even call, just went directly to the doctor's office and said, you need to see my child. And at that point he was running 104 temperature. And he proceeded for the next 5 days to run a fever like that. Anytime we had to give him Motrin and Tylenol, and anytime that fever would break, anytime those things would wear off, then the fever just went right back up. So, and then within weeks of that, we just saw him disappear. I mean, he just wasn't the child that we had before. We went from this happy-go-lucky child to a child that was constantly breaking out in rashes and was crying. His bowel movements became odd. He just changed. We lost the child that we knew. It was like he was dying in front of us, and no one really seemed to help us. We just started this journey of going from one doctor to another, till finally somebody did diagnose him with autism. And then once he had that label, everyone was just like, well, he's autistic. We don't really know what's wrong with him. These kids have odd allergies. I mean, there just wasn't any answers. And so when we had our second child, we chose not to immunize him at all, and he hasn't had any problems. And then with our third child, our daughter, we were going to follow that same plan until this whole whooping cough epidemic broke out, and we were like, okay, girls are at a lower risk of autism. She's gone through that 16, 17 month threshold. She's been evaluated by a team of speech therapists, occupational therapists, special education teachers. No one, us personally, we knew all the warning signs to look for autism. She didn't show any of those signs. Our pediatrician's like, I know you're against this, but we're really worried about kids, and if you're only going to do one shot, do the whooping cough shot. And so we did, and that was December 2nd, and by December 31st, we had gone through 2 ear infections and throwing up flu all in that month, and by December 31st, we went in because she was sick again, and I said, she looks autistic. And within a year, she had the full diagnosis. That within that year, she started having seizures, and we've been, again, on this journey of going from one specialist to another and not really getting answers.
How long have you been on this journey?
9 years with Ryan. Or it would be, no, 8 years, excuse me, 8 years.
And what do you feel the parents need to know that don't know? I mean, what do you want them to hear?
Again, just to recognize it as a choice, and no one cares more about your children than you do. So to take the time to educate yourself and to follow your instinct, and that it's okay to say to your doctor, I only want to do one shot, or I don't want to do shots at all. I mean, you have that control. It's your child. I think that's the most important thing, is taking the time to educate yourself, not just assuming that your doctor knows best, or that the nurse at the doctor's office knows how to properly administer the shots.